Hi, everyone. This week's podcast is all about grad programs and why they are so in demand. Are they really all they're cracked up to be? My guest this week is going to give us the lowdown from his perspective. We'll learn not only about the opportunities that a grad program provides, but about the process, a bit of resilience, and what you can do if you don't succeed in landing a grad role the first time. Tong, welcome. And I'm really thrilled to have you join me today on Major in Adulting. Tong, what have you been doing and how's your journey into adulting going?
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast, Roman. It's a great pleasure to be here. Right now, I am working as a change manager at the Monash City Council, which is all about helping the organization adapt to changes and improve the way we work. And I think I am having a fantastic journey. Being an adult and transitioning from a student and a grad to a full-time working professional, and I absolutely enjoy my journey so far.
That's awesome. That's so good to hear, Tong. Now, Tong, as I said, this episode is really focusing on grad programs, and I really want to understand, but take you back a little bit for our listeners. You went to uni, and after completing your VCE, what did you study? And do you remember why you chose the degree that you chose to study?
Yeah, I remember it like yesterday. So I did a
In a
bachelor
good
of
in a good way, I hope.
absolutely, yeah. I did a bachelor of commerce at the University of Melbourne. I majored in finance and marketing. I chose finance because it's really the backbone of the business world. It's all
Uh-huh.
about rationality, all about logics, and all about being analytical. And I wanted to understand how our world, our economy, and business decisions were made, and how they shape and experience influence our lives. On the flip side, I chose marketing because it's human centered. It's all
Mm,
about people, emotion, and building connections with each
yeah,
other. I saw them as complementary skills, so balancing logic with creativity and connecting the brand with the heart. In terms
Ah.
of in terms of unexpected influence, I would say that the marketing major has really been critical in my current role as a change manager, because change management is almost entirely about people and
Humans, yeah.
communication, as you would know, Roman.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So absolutely. So building that connection with people and understanding their concern, and that will really help them through the transition. So the people-centered approach for marketing has become central to my everyday working.
And did you have that curiosity about both those, I guess, avenues before you got into your commerce degree, or did you discover that as you were going through?
I discovered that through I went because um, I'm more a, a people person.
Yeah,
But it's good to get some business foundations in terms of economics and number. You just can't avoid number completely in a bachelor of commerce degree. So I think the finance one is pretty good to help me understand the financial decisions in our words. And but I really wanted to do something that's non-number related.
yeah,
That's why I was looking at management and marketing, and I was more excited about the creativity side about marketing, right?
marketing.
Because
Yep, yep.
yeah, that's why I went with marketing, and yeah, I just end up really enjoying it, and I think it just really encouraged me to use both my left brain and my right brain to get them to work together in cohesion to finish both majors and finish the degree.
And Tong, I know you've got good brains on both sides, so having
Thank you.
worked with you before. So when did you start to think about full-time work and what sort of job you'd like?
Yeah. So I would say that like most students, I started seriously thinking about finding a job in my second year of uni.
Yeah.
I
Okay, so
went to
is this a 3-year, were you in a 3-year degree? Sorry, I should have asked that
yes, I
at the
was.
start.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So it's a 3-year degree.
okay,
And I started looking in my second year. I went to career expos and networking events. So your uni would usually organize those events and activities
okay,
on an
yep.
annual basis. So I went there just to get a better understanding of what I wanted. And through that process, to my surprise, you will always know what you don't want to do. Yeah, it just come to you very naturally. So
Is
one of
that
the
through
big
talking at is that through the networking process or
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
yeah?
So you would, obviously converse with people, ask them, what do you do on a daily basis? What's the output? What do you deliver? What's the impact you are making to people? And what's the organization like? And also, those companies and organizations, they will also present, their company mission, what they're working on,
Okay.
the project working, what they can offer you as well as a fresh grad and, upcoming working professional. And you can really get a sense of, their culture, their values as well. And just to see really you resonate with and align with those organizational values or not. And you will quickly learn that, what type of industry you would like to be in as your first job.
That's really interesting. You've talked about values because in a couple of the other podcasts that I've done, this
Mm.
is a common theme. So I think this is a podcast on its own about values and potentially culture, which I think is a good discussion for another podcast.
Yeah.
Um, and actually, Tong, you were being marketed to by these organisations who are vying for grads coming out of uni to come and work for them. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think were some of the biggest challenges that you faced during this phase of transition from completing your degree and moving into the adulting world of you professional work starting life, if you like?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest challenges I faced was resilience, because I didn't actually get into the NAP graduate program straight away. I had to pivot, and as I continued to try to apply for the grad program at NAP, I decided to take on full-time work at CPA at ANZ. It really allowed me to gain, critical valuable banking experiences where I still aim for my goal at NAP. So looking back, so that experience really taught me about persistence. It showed me that, if you really wanted something and you keep working towards it, and every road you take along the way of reaching that goal will teach you something valuable and it's a great, life surprises.
So that's interesting because you obviously, through your career expos that you attended and your networking events, you honed in on the finance sector and you clearly honed in on working for one of the big four banks. Um, and so you actually did apply for the NAB grad program. We'll talk about that a little bit more in detail later. But so, as much as you decided what you didn't want to do, did those experiences at those networking and career expos, I guess, develop your curiosity to work for one of the big four banks? Or
Yes,
where did that? Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. To be honest with you, like I kind of walk into those career expos and networking event, not exactly knowing what
Yeah.
I want to do. So I was, blank sheet of paper. I was open to everything and all the all the different companies and all the different industries. I just got a natural curiosity about every one of them, because I didn't set my mind on one fixed industry that I'm gonna go for.
Yeah.
So I walk in with an open mindset. And I think what really um, attracted me to NAP was their company culture and their value.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it's just the way, maybe it's because of the bank representative um,
At these
at first,
expos,
yeah,
you
at
mean?
those
Yeah.
expos that day,
Yeah.
they just project a lot of confidence in
They
me.
marketed. They
Yeah,
marketed very
they
well to
marketed
you.
really well. So yeah, as I was maybe as I was doing a marketing degree, I was like, wow, that's top-notch marketing for them. And yeah, it won me over. It won me over. And I think yeah, those people were really friendly, and the way that they talk about their job, their work, they
Yeah.
didn't seem like they were doing it because they needed a job. They seemed like they were at NAB. They were doing it because they wanted to be there, and I just felt really genuine. Um,
Okay.
yeah, with them, and yeah, so I that's why I decided to go for NAB.
And so that's what resonated with you. Okay, so
Yes.
that's good. So I think what I'm discovering, and if I remember going back to when I finished uni as well, I mean, I worked a casual job in retail, but I think one of the challenges is converting that casual work experience into a, a document such as your resume on paper that encapsulates all those skills and experience that some of these job applications require. So I want to delve into that a little bit in this segment. So, did you have a casual job through your uni days?
Yes, I sure did. So I work at a real estate company
Okay.
as a worker there, where I was at uni, and I kind of see that as my what I call soft skills gym.
I
Um,
like that phrase.
Thank
Explain.
you. Yeah. It's so easy and common for people to, dismiss the importance of part-time and casual jobs while they're at
Yeah.
uni.
Yeah.
It's definitely more than just pocket money. Because I think, yeah, it's a really good place for you to practice and develop your professional muscles. That would matter the most, once you finish uni and enter into a workplace. Because when I was at my part-time job, every day felt like a workout for me. Because yeah, one moment you were de-escalating a very tense conversation with an anxious buyer. The next, you're trying to build a trust and relationship with a nervous first-time buyer. And it taught me that, in any working environment, whether it's corporate or not, your technical skill, what you put on your resume, why might get you in the door, but your ability to handle human dynamics is what allows you to be very effective there. And
Right.
again, being a part-time work or casual job environment is quite low risk to, do your workout, develop your muscles there. And but you are getting in return very high value skills and mindsets and techniques that you can take away with. Things like communication and managing different personalities at work. It would be very fundamental to any future jobs you might have.
Yeah. Okay. So you really had probably, I mean, you didn't have a bar job or working in hospitality. So you actually sounded like you had more of a professional role. What did you do in what was your kind of role, if you like, in the real estate company?
Yeah. So it was about it was in a sales role, more like a frontline
Okay.
sales role.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that
So
married with your marketing degree, I guess, is
correct,
the marketing
correct.
component of your degree. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So I will help the sales consultant, in terms of meeting potential buyers and also sellers. So I will go to meetings with them and observe and shadow them how they interact with the buyers and the sellers. And I would go to also inspections and conversations with the developers as well with them. And I will provide admin support to the sales consultant in terms of any paperwork and simple liaison with the buyers and the sellers just to facilitate that transaction to go through. And it was a really good experience because um, you would handle different um, roles in a transaction, and people got their unique, thinking, concern, worries. People, got different things they need to consider, and you just have to be on a journey with them and try to be in their shoes and understand, what they would want the most of the transaction. So it was really good to experience different perspectives on, and wear different hats in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
transaction. Yeah.
And that would have, I'm guessing that would have made your study, the subjects that you did in your degree more relevant as well, because you were actually doing experience that was aligned with what you were studying. So you were very, I think, fortunate. Well, not fortunate. You made that choice, and that was a choice that you made. So that's a really good experience there. Um, so Tong, I know we talked at the start around your choice as you were coming into or in your second year about applying for grad programs. And I don't know if we shared, but you didn't actually get in. Oh, you did. You said that you didn't get into the NAB program. Um, but then we talked about persistence. You got your job at CBA and then you moved to ANZ. Over what period of time after you graduated were those two experiences at those two companies?
I think altogether it was about a year, 2.5 to 2
Okay,
years.
so about
Yeah.
18 months.
Yes,
And then you applied again for the NAB grad program. Is that right?
that's right. Yeah.
Okay. So second time, um, how did you go and what did you do differently to the first time? And did you get in the second time?
Yeah. To answer your question first, I very fortunately, I did get in the second time, and I think what was different was that this time, having worked in the banking industry like for a year and a half to 2 years, it
Yeah.
gave me a lot of confidence and insider
Yeah.
knowledge
Yeah.
about the banking industry, about the key goals and priorities and objectives, and values, and what would matter most to a banking organization and the people working there. So I was able to apply again second time for the grad program with a deeper understanding of the banking industry, the common challenges that the banking industry as a whole face. And I was able to talk to them about some of the most trendy um, phenomenons, and and challenges, opportunities as well, that the banking industry was facing at the time. And I think the interviewer panel, they appreciate that depth of understanding, and also my hands-on experience in the banking industry as well, because they do value from my experience, and they do value people having actually work in a retail banking setting, seeing customers every day, interacting with customers every day. They really welcome and appreciate that fresh perspective, which they may not always get um, be in their role.
Yeah, and it's interesting. And, kudos to you that you persisted and were clear on what you wanted to do and got into the grad program the second time. And we'll loop back to this, but I guess while we're on this trend of thought, I did say at the intro of this podcast that I was going to talk about, do the grad programs really live up to the hype? Because they're very competitive and a lot of grads um, apply, and it's a really competitive process to go through. And few get in compared to the numbers that apply. So I'm really curious to hear from you about your experience, and is the hype about grad programs all it's made up to be? And can you also share with us what was the most surprising aspect of the program and how did it differ from your expectations? I guess having, especially for you, having worked for 18 months.
There is definitely a lot of hype around Grad program, and I think they are for good reason, and they generally live up to it. But I
Okay,
think it's also
that's really good to hear.
yes, yes. That's why so many people keep applying year after year, right? That's why
Yeah,
they're
this
in
is
the
true.
account. Yeah. But I think it's also important to avoid the what I call the golden ticket fallacy. So it's the
Uh,
idea that the grad program is the only valid entry path into a great career. I would say that it's a fantastic accelerator, but it's not a prerequisite for a successful career launch, transitioning from uni to work.
yeah,
What I love what I loved the most about the grad program was the opportunity to rotate through different areas in the bank and meet lots of people, which would really help you figure out where you want to focus in and grow. And the
okay,
most surprising aspect for me was the level of real responsibility that grads were given from day one. Because walking into the grad program, I was thinking that we might be shadowing people for months and just observing. But no, instead, we will put on real meaningful projects from day one, and our contributions were genuinely valued by the business and the leadership team. It was more intense than I expected, but it was very far more rewarding.
okay, that's interesting. And was that grad program, how long was that? 12 or 18 months, Tom?
It was 18 months.
18 months. And so through that 18-month process, just talk us through a little bit about, I guess, how the expectation was set about what that 18 months was going to look like. Did you have a mentor allocated? How did you get, was feedback, I guess, structured or was it more initiative from yourself? And yeah, I guess, how did that 18 months look and how do you know you're growing and developing in the right way if there's such a thing?
Yep, absolutely. So I think it's a bit of both. So it's up
Yeah.
to you how you want to make it work for you. But there is also a structure, a general structure to how the grad program works over the span of those 18 months.
Yeah.
So usually you will be put on, I think, 3 to 4 different rotations. Each
Okay.
rotation is with a unique business unit. And also
Yeah.
there different streams in the grad program. For example, if we look at NEP, they're a huge banking organization. They got different divisions. They got the personal banking, which is about consumer banking every day. They also got business banking, focusing on supporting small to medium sized organizations. They also got institutional banks and supporting ASX listed company and enterprises. And then of course, you will have your people and safety team. You will have your technology team, your risk team, your legal team. So when you apply, you can first of all decide, which stream
Oh,
you
can you?
want to.
Okay.
Absolutely. You can apply which stream you want to you
To
are interested
focus in?
in.
Yeah,
Correct.
okay.
Yes. And so your like interviewing process, your application process would be focused on the stream, the
On that
business
particular stream.
area that
Yeah.
you apply for. And once you got in, generally speaking, you would do 3 to 4 different rotations on that stream,
Okay.
right?
So whether you
For
were
ex-
in personal banking, for example, you'd
correct.
rotate around that part of the bank
Correct.
at
That's
least
the
4
gen.
times during it.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
And they should give you an early indication on, for example, your first rotation will be with team A, your second rotation with team B, third one with team C. And I think you do get an opportunity to pick which one is your fourth rotation. So that one is
Yeah.
up to you. But even though there's a general structure, don't let that limit you
Okay.
because your networking, your curiosity mindset wouldn't stop, just because you got into the organization and the grad program. That's where you actually start to meet a lot of interesting people and inspiring people and leaders at the organization, and they would very easily inspire you to try an area, enter into a team that you never thought about before. That's what happened to me. So I think I was on my second rotation,
Uh-huh.
and I was able to go into a meeting with the strategy team, and I they were talking about one project that they were working on, and it just caught my attention and interest. I really wanted to work on that project. So what I did was that I took the initiative to reach out to the manager of that team, introduce myself, explain that I was on a grad program, and I was in the meeting with them, and I am very fascinated by the project, and I want to be a valuable contributor to the project, and be able to learn from them, as well as offering my fresh set of eyes. Um, and yeah, so people were generally very generous with their time, knowing that you are a grad, and they are more than happy to offer help and support. And you could also ask them to be your mentor, whether officially or unofficially.
Okay.
Yes. So I was able to log in a coffee chat with the manager, and then I again express my interest, talk him through my journey at uni, outside of uni, and my great experience so far at NEP. And he just really glad to hear from a grad, and happy that I took the initiative to reach out to him. And the rest is history now, and I was able to join that team, which was outside of my business banking stream altogether. And I was able to work on that project and work with that team for, I think, a good 3 to 4 months. So
Okay.
that was really good. Yeah.
So, Tong, what I'm hearing is you retain that marketing that you learnt in your degree, because you were part of your networking is marketing and making yourself known and putting yourself out there too, I think, which when you're new starting out in professional experience, maybe I'm speaking for myself back years ago, I was a bit shy. So I think that's a good lesson that you've shared as well, or a good tip. It's about putting yourself out there, making yourself known, and initiating those conversations. And that's whether you're in a grad program or not, really. And yeah, that's a good takeaway, I think, for those starting out. So you applied for the grad program initially, you didn't get in, you went off and got yourself a job because what else do you do? And then you persisted in applying for the grad program. So I really love this because you've got the perspectives of both. So what is the difference between a grad program and getting a full-time role? Because I'm curious, having started your professional work experience, why did you then go and persist in getting a grad role? But I guess you've explained that. But now that on the other side, can you share with us some of the specific experiences that highlight the differences between the two for those listeners who are curious about grad? If I don't get into a grad program, should I keep applying if that's what I feel is going to add value?
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to use the analogy that a grad program is like a guided tour of a company. You get to try different things, work with different people across the business, and build a really wide network in the organization.
Okay. Yeah.
The program is uniquely structured to push you out of your comfort zone and expand your horizon.
Ah,
Versus a regular full-time role, is more like jumping straight into the deep end of one specific area. For example, in my full-time role, and that before I applied for the grad program the second time, my
yeah.
focus was entirely on mastering one specific set of tasks within my team. It was quite narrow, but it was deep learning. In comparison, during the grad program and during the strategy rotation that I mentioned earlier, I was able to work on an important strategic piece of project that involved collaboration with different teams such as, merger and acquisitions, finance, marketing, and legal, and more all at once. That experience really gave me a helicopter view of the overall organization and the business. And I wouldn't have gotten that kind of perspectives or understanding of the organization if I was staying in a single role performing a particular function.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy, and I like that. I like that helicopter view, and that makes absolute sense because I think, as you shared, in a lot of grad programs, it's about rotating the grads through the business so that they get a perspective and maybe find their niche in that about in an area that they are really enjoying and want to focus on once they finish their program. Um, but why did you, having not got in the first time and then got your job, why did you have this burning desire in the back of your mind to persist to try and get into a grad program? What was
Um,
the motivation? Because I'm guessing most people would, or maybe I shouldn't assume, you miss out on one, you get your job, and then your career kind of takes a different path. What was your motivation for, I guess, continuing to look at that grad program?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very great question and very important one. I think what motivated me to keep trying and applying for the grad program was because I had a really strong sense of curiosity. I think most grad students or uni students would agree because they are so fresh. Everything is new to them. They're excited about, going out to the real world, working
Yeah.
on real projects, delivering real value and impact for people. It's almost in that phase of your life, of your career. It's almost like traveling. It's almost like backpacking. That's why,
Yeah, true. I like
you know,
that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
students, they
Yeah.
love backpacking because they want to broaden their perspectives, open
Yeah.
their eyes, spread their wings.
The
Once
world the world is new.
you're
You haven't
correct,
seen it before. Yeah, okay.
exactly, exactly. You just want
Yeah.
to go out and see what's out there and try it, right? Yeah. So that's why it was really great to have a full-time job at CBA and I really appreciate the experience. But it's almost like once you start traveling, once you visited one country, you just can't stop. Start to plan where should I go next, and where should I explore next, and also, I think that after working full time in a specific role, focusing on one set of tasks, you quickly realize that it will get repetitive. So it really
Mhm.
depends on what you are looking for. If
Yeah.
you are looking for something, a bit more planned, more structured.
I guess to get that, once you've got a full-time job, you'd have to, I say you have to, you're expected to sort of complete, a designated a time before you could then potentially apply for a different role in a different part of the organization. And
Yeah,
you would have to do that on your own. And it would
absolutely.
take longer than 18 months because I think job hopping every 4 months would not be, well, you probably just wouldn't be able to do it in
There
the
would definitely be a
organization.
lot more barriers and
Yeah, to doing that.
resistance. Yeah.
Yeah,
From that organization to be able to switch easily, among different teams, even within organization, versus on a grad program, that's the main focus, that's the main purpose of the program is to give you that flexibility,
that view.
right?
Yeah,
Hinder
yeah,
flexibility and encouragement for you to um, um, try different things out, go to different teams, and meet different people.
meet different
I think
people.
yeah. So the purpose of a full time role is very different to a program.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
that
deep, as you said, deep, maybe repetitive
yeah.
versus breadth, um, and variety. What did you learn about the move from full-time uni student to full-time employment in those early years? And what were some of the key skills or lessons you learned that still apply today, Tong? So,
All
what
right.
did you learn about making the move from full-time uni student to full-time employment in the early years? And what were some of the key skills or lessons you learned that you think still apply today?
Yeah. I think it's a really major milestone transitioning from being a uni student to a full-time working professional. I think that the biggest shifts isn't just the environment. It's like moving to a new country where you have to exchange your
Ah,
currency.
oh,
So
that's a
at
really good analogy
yeah,
because that's yeah.
so at university, the currency is about individual achievement. It's about your grades, your essays, your exams, your marks. It's all about what you can produce on paper. But the
Mm,
moment you enter the workforce, the currency gets changed, and
um,
your old currency will get devalued. So the new currency of the professional world is trust and influence. You will
wow.
you will quickly
Yeah.
learn that your technical skills, your old currency, um, they are valuable only once you earn enough trust from the people for them to listen to you, and you earn that trust through your soft skills, your people skill, that through good communication, reliability, and being a good team member. Um, and the most overwhelming lesson for me is that to realize that you have to build your professional wealth from scratch using this new currency, which is the trust and influence that you have to work hard to earn. And your degree, your old currency is just the startup funds that would get you into the door.
Tong, I love that analogy. That is so good. And I love the currency analogy because it's really true. And someone else said that your degree is really uh, enables you or equips you for the first maybe month of once you
Oh,
get out into the workplace. Um, so I think that's really important to remember that it is just a stepping stone, or as you said, your degree is the startup fund.
yeah,
It's the door that then opens. Yeah, I
yeah.
love that. That's great.
And if I may, I might add to that you don't have to look for a job or look for a field or industry that's perfectly aligned to what you study, your degree. Feel free to
Yeah.
spread your wings. I've come across many people who are in a position in an industry that's completely different to what they study, what their degree was. So don't let your degree be the determinator of what you want to do.
What you end up, I think that's absolutely true. I think it's fair to say that unless you're in one of those vocations that when you come out, like medicine or dentistry or nursing, you probably end up or you start in that space anyway, because that's how those degrees are designed.
Oh,
But most other degrees, you can land anywhere, to be honest with you. And I think what I've heard you say is just be open to that because it may not be where you want to be, but by being open to the opportunities, you may end up finding something that you love that you hadn't dreamed of doing. So yeah, really good. I like that. Um, what's a tip that you'd like to leave listeners with today, Tom, about what you can do to make that move into full-time work, into the adulting world? And can you share an example of a mistake you made early on and how you learned from it?
yeah, sure. Very humbly, if I may, the one tip I would leave for our listeners today is that um, to make the transition from doing the work, being a task doer, to what I call being an impact detective. So you can start that on your very first job, even if it's a part-time job, a casual job, even when you're starting as well. So being an detective is about asking a simple but very important question when you're given a task. Ask them, to help me do this better, can you please tell me who this is for and what problem does it solve for them? This one simple question will really shift your mindset from being a student right? Focusing
Mm.
on your own performance, to a working professional, focusing on real life impacts and benefits that you can deliver for others. So at uni, the who is your professor, and the problem is about getting good grades, and graduating, of course. And at work, the answer could be very different. It could be a customer, it could be a stakeholder or your team, and understanding their need is everything. And one mistake that I made way early on was, again, uh, relate to my tip before. I was being a task doer. I was being a task doer. I was not being an impact detective. I spent 2 weeks working on a spreadsheet without asking who the spreadsheet was for, what's the result for.
Mm.
And I did make it look really good, but because I never understood what the problem it was meant to solve, I missed the very important and critical insights that my team was actually looking for through that spreadsheet. And I had to start from scratch again. So please, our listeners, learn from my mistakes, and please do not repeat it.
Yeah, I like that to make it more impactful. Because I guess when you're starting out, some of your tasks will be, or some of the activities will be tasks. But to make it more impactful and to understand, yeah, that's a really good insight, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so that's something that I'll take as well. Um, so, for our emerging grads listening, what advice would you give them about entering the workforce? And what are some of the resources or networks that you'd recommend to help them navigate their new career paths as they enter into their new adulting world?
Yeah. I think we have been talking a lot about the
We
concept
have.
of networking, right? And the
Yeah.
importance of it. And I want to add my little special twist to it. So instead of simply networking, I would I would do something slightly different, which is what I call, building your curiosity network. So what I mean by that is that do not just simply reach out to people with impressive titles and and
Mm,
roles. Instead,
mm,
look for people with a very interesting career or even personal journey to
mm,
got them where
mm,
they are today. You
mm.
can find them on LinkedIn, and you can go through, have a look at their profile to see whether their career path is a simple straight line or they had to pivot, right? They have to try different things and to land their dream job, or they combine really unexpected degrees, studies, and fields at work. When you do reach out, remember your only goal is curiosity. Okay, ask them questions like, "What was the most valuable lesson that you learned from your journey? And do you ever imagine yourself being in your position now and working in the industry that you are in now?" I think this approach really takes all the pressure off, not only for them but also for you, because
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
not networking to ask for a job.
For a job.
You,
Yeah.
correct. You're simply asking them to share their story if they are willing. And it will lead to much more genuine connections with them. It's that human to human, people to people connection. And it will give you a much more realistic and inspiring picture on what a career actually looks like.
I like that. That's really good advice. And look, we'll talk about networking in a future episode, but that's a whole topic on its own. And we'll talk about cold calling as well through platforms like LinkedIn. Yeah, so that's really good. Now we're nearly at the end here, Tong, and it's been a really interesting conversation. But is there anything you'd like to share with our listeners that we haven't covered today so far?
Yes, if I may, I would love to leave your listeners with one final idea to think about. Um, is the way that I have structured my thinking around how I should build my career and expand my career as well. So I have stopped thinking about a linear career ladder. But instead, I've started trying to build a portfolio of experiences.
Right.
So we often feel the immense pressure from our first job to be the perfect first step, on that linear upward trajectory career ladder. But
Mm-hmm.
my own experience and my own journey taught me that it doesn't have to be that way. and there
Mhm.
are other ways to build and enjoy your career as well. So back then, not getting into the grad program straight away felt like a major setback to me. I
Mm.
was really upset by that, unsurprisingly. But in hindsight, the full-time roles that I took taught me really critical, lessons, and gave me the two bells and whistles, and the not bells and whistles, the tools, and my tool belt, which became really invaluable assets in my portfolio of career experiences. They also make me a stronger candidate for the grad program, and just really valuable experiences in my career as well. So personally, I would see every role, even the ones that are not my dream job, as an opportunity to add the unique value and asset to my professional arena. So to me, a diverse portfolio of experiences is more resilient and valuable in the long run than any singular, straightforward path.
Yeah, look, I think that's a really good point that you make, and another way that we reference that is the skill stack over your career. And I think particularly for young adults entering the workforce these days, that linear pathway, organizations are just going through so much transformation, and with all the economic and global changes as well as technology changes that are coming into our workforce. So it's probably your perspective is probably a realistic one for young emerging adults entering into the workforce in the current and future years. So, Tong, it's been a great conversation. Thank you so much for sharing and for joining us on Major in Adulting today. I'm sure our listeners will find your experiences incredibly helpful. And if anyone has any questions or has topics that they'd like us to talk about in future episodes, please let us know. Otherwise, you can like, subscribe, or share this podcast with anyone who you think might want to listen to it. Thanks again, Tong.
Thanks, Roman.
Bye.
Bye.